green discards, he can't be that good, you know? But on the other side, Kris over here, he's playing Esper Control. We haven't really seen Esper Control today, so this is pretty nice that we get a chance to take a look at this. I don't know what game this is. I'm guessing it's probably not game 0.
Yeah, I would expect it to be game 1, and we saw the Esper player
game 2
going second. Or sorry, game 2, and we saw the Esper player going second. So.
Oh wow, game 3.
Game 3. Wow.
These guys move quick.
They do.
All right, so Jared is on the play, and he has access to 4 mana because of the Sylvan Keratin now. So essentially, when you're ramping and you're on the play, it's just 4 to 2, 5 to 3 sometimes, you know. And now with the Nyx, you can get a lot more mana. There is a Polychronos from Jared.
Aggressive start for Jared, but Chris's deck is just filled with creature removal, pretty much. And he's going to go ahead and Detention Sphere that Polychronos. And looking at his hand, he has another Detention Sphere and some lands. And oh, he's 2 more Detention Spheres.
2 more Detention Spheres, wow, yeah.
Well, if Jared was packing some Tranquilities, he would be pretty accurate.
Yeah, you know what card can't get Detention Sphered?
Mistcutter Hydra.
You know what other card can't get Detention Sphered?
Detention Sphere.
and the Sylvan Keratin.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Jared is pretty immune to Detention Sphere, a little open to Supreme Verdict, but I feel like Kris probably wouldn't have de-sphered that Polychronos right off the bat if he had a Verdict. Yeah, so Jared probably is sensing some weakness there.
Yeah.
Also important to notice, he did make the Mistcutter Hydra 4, which means it can be killed by Elspeth.
Sure.
So a lot of people will go for 3, but I like on this particular aggressive draw going for 4, because that's a much faster clock, and Kris is already under so much pressure.
Okay, so there's an Elvish Mystic from Jared. Doesn't really do too much quite yet. Might get in for a damage or 2. Kris is just playing a Godless Shrine and passing. Does he just not have... I see a Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah. I think he drew a Hero's Downfall, I think, this turn, and that looks like what he's going to aim at that
Mistcutter Hydra. Yeah. Is that a Sylvan Primordial?
Sylvan Primordial. That's a spicy meatball if I've ever seen one.
1, 2, 4. So he has... Yeah, he has access to 8 lands? 7?
He has 7.
But does he have one in his hand, though, I think?
If he has one in his hand, then he could theoretically cast the Primordial, but I don't think that he would. Oh, he has a Nykthos, so he could, tap the first Nykthos and then play the second one.
Okay, yeah, sure. So he has 3, 6. So, yeah, I mean, I guess he's just going to hit... What is he going to hit off this?
I think that he's going to hold it until Kris plays a Supreme Verdict is probably his idea.
Okay.
And at that point...
No, I think he's going to play it and just hit the Detention Sphere and be really...
Okay.
And just go for it.
I guess losing his Mistcutter Hydra kind of made him need to put a larger threat onto the field.
Yeah, I think Jared had the read that Kris didn't have Supreme Verdict. It was pretty obvious, so...
Also worth noting is it does fix his mana. One thing we haven't really talked that much about is Jared is playing a rug deck, not a green-red deck, as you're kind of used to seeing. Yeah. So getting a breeding pool out is actually kind of matters, especially because he has Prime Speakers gone as his blue card. Needs some help.
Yeah, which is double blue.
Yeah.
And although he does have the Sylvan Keratin, Prime Speaker double blue needs the second land, and he ends up fetching it out. So I think Kris might just have to go like Detention Sphere, and kind of hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Kris is down to 11 already. So we'll see if this is the line he takes. There's the first Detention Sphere. Takes out the Sylvan Primordial. There is the second Detention Sphere. Takes out the Polychronos.
Come on, Tranquility.
Yeah, that's what we need right here. There's a draw. Ooh.
Jared actually has Bramble Crushes in his sideboard, and any Bramble Crush here would be absurd. It would get the Sylvan Primordial back, and then that would in turn crush the other Detention Sphere on Polychronos. So,
exactly.
Ooh.
All right, so Kris falls to 10, but it looks like he's kind of stabilized just because Jared is running out of steam.
Yeah, Kris even brazenly taking 2 from a Hallowfountain here. That means he's almost certainly going to Revelate.
Yeah, he's going to Revelate for 4, I think it is. There is a Domir Rod drawn by Jared, which is, not the worst card to draw.
Yeah, when your opponent is already kind of priced into Revelationing, it's not a bad time to cast a Domri because you've seen all these spheres already. You know he can't afford to spend time counterspelling this Domri. He has to just cast that Revelation. So
yeah. Let's see if he hits a creature. No creature on top. Might be a land, might be a Planeswalkers. So a Sphinx for 4. Now, this is really going to come down to it. If Kris hits another Sphinx's Revelation, if Kris hits, say, Supreme Verdict, just something pretty powerful, it's really going to determine, is he going to win this game or is he going to lose it? So, wow, that's really good.
Yeah, Supreme Verdict and Jace are pretty powerful. Yeah, I don't know if he has the 8th land to really maximize this turn,
and another Sphinx's Revelation.
The other Sphinx's Revelation will help him put the nail in the coffin, assuming he can handle this state. I'm actually really interested in what Jared's top card is, because, he left it with Domri, and Bramble Crush is the card he wants to see more than most here.
Wow, Kris just passes. I think I would have, played Jace and dug deeper, tried to hit a land and go with Jace Supreme Verdict there.
It looks like he's planning to cast Revelation again, is my guess.
Okay.
But if that was the plan, I would probably have just cast it and tried to hit a land.
Yeah.
We've got some cards in our hand that aren't even that good.
I mean, he could even play Jace, tick it up, and hold up Doomblade for like a Mistcutter Hydra or something.
I think I like that play better than Revelating.
Sure. So it looks like Jared is just going to go all... I think he did draw a Mistcutter Hydra.
Yeah, he did. He revealed it with Domri, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just going to make a gigantic Mistcutter Hydra.
Okay, so it's 8/8, I think? With the no, 9/9 with the Devotion? It's a lot. It's big. 7/7. Okay. There's a Doomblade.
It's dead. That's what it is.
Yeah, see, now because Kris didn't even play the Jace, what is he going to do with this 5 extra mana?
Yeah, he's not going to Revelate for 2 here, probably.
Yeah, it's a kind of... All right, well, Kris draws another Supreme Verdict.
Now's time to pull the trigger. We have 2 verdicts. We don't need to hold again.
Yeah, I mean...
We still have that Doomblade, right? Yeah.
Remember, Kris has to be careful because if that Domri keeps ticking up, and it gets ultimate, Kris probably can't beat an ultimate Domri.
Yeah. And we're already out 3 Detention Spheres.
Yeah, I know. So, kind of interesting lines of play here. Let's see what Kris is going to lead off with. There's a Jace, and he's going to dig for the land. There's a land, but it comes to play tap. Okay, there's a Plains.
All right.
So, Aetherling or the lands? What would you take here?
Well, let's see.
He takes the lands.
I think that he kind of has to, although keep in mind, putting an Aetherling on the bottom of your deck is big trouble. It's going to take a long time. You'll need to use other Jace activations to get the bottom of your deck big enough so that Aetherling becomes closer to the top. Yeah, otherwise, you won't have time to kill the opponent.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see what happens there. I mean, yeah, it just seems that something must have run wrong with that he didn't take that Jace pile.
Ooh.
Or he didn't take the Aetherling pile. Oh, wow.
Mistcutter Hydra. It's not lethal, but it is big, and it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it is. Wow. This is crazy. Kris has a really good hand, but with that Mistcutter Hydra, he's going to go super low.
Yeah. He does still have the second Revelation, so he can hope to use that to claw his way out.
And I think he has a second Doomblade as well.
Jared decides, if I'm not killing him, I don't want to play it.
Okay.
Goes for Garrick.
So far only 1 hit.
Oh, 2 Bramble Crushes.
No, and another Garrick. Only gets an Elvish Mystic.
Yeah. I actually kind of like Jared's sideboard cards. Like the Bramble Crushers are really sweet, but they also kind of run contrary to his Domri, Garrick, Devotion plan. Like Bramble Crush actively makes all of those cards a little bit worse.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a trade-off he's being forced to make.
All right, Kris with an island, immediately takes up Jace, just passes the turn. I mean, this is looking really bad for Kris. Barring like a planar cleansing or something, Merciless Eviction.
Planar cleansing would also put 11 power into play on Jared's side, yeah.
With those Detention Spheres.
He's in a tight spot, and that Domri is on Emblem. 7 counters. Kris will need to do something about that quickly.
All right, so he's going to put a Sylvan Primordial into play. He's going to kill a Detention Sphere, get another Sylvan Primordial, kill... This is crazy.
This is not how Kris thought it would end.
No.
This is not like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like technically over yet, but Kris is in a world of hurt from Jared over here.
He's destroying that Detention Sphere. I believe there's a little confusion over the forest. Yeah, he didn't grab the deck for the forest, so it's like you have to resolve all of the trigger.
Yep.
Like, so now he goes and gets a forest.
Okay.
And he's going to go get another forest.
Yep.
And now that Mistcutter Hydra will be lethal if it comes down. So Kris is in a spot. He's going to Revelation here, and then he's going to untap and Verdict, but he still has to deal with that Domri.
Yeah,
so if he doesn't
and the Garrick too.
Yeah, if he doesn't draw the 4th Detention Sphere off of this Revelation, then the Domri emblem plus the Mistcutter Hydra will just outright kill him.
Yeah, exactly. And now all those cards that went to the bottom from Garrick are now shuffled in between the Bramble Crushes and whatnot. All right, so what's going to happen now? I'm excited to see. So far, this has been 2 pretty cool matches, I have to say, Glenn.
Yeah, this is.
How much mana does he have with this? What does he have? 9 mana or something?
Certainly got a lot.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. Yeah. He has a lot of mana.
Oh, wow, he's playing the Hydra now.
Okay.
I don't like this. Now, this is like the only way our Hydra gets Doombladed.
Yeah.
Unless, do we have another Hydra?
No, we don't have another Hydra in hand.
Okay, it's a Burning Tree Emissary and a Voyage Emissary. Yeah, I would have held the Hydra until next turn. Once we emblem the Domri, the Hydra is stone unbeatable on our turn.
Yeah. And I mean, he knows that 3 Detention Spheres are gone.
Yeah, the 3 Detention Spheres are gone. The only answers that Kris could possibly have is a 4th Detention Sphere,
yeah,
or a Pithing Needle, which he hasn't. I know that he hasn't seen one because there isn't one in Chris's deck.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely dead to the Miscutter Hydra, right? He can just Miscutter Hydra for 6 and it has double strike.
Yeah, and hexproof.
And hexproof.
And trample.
And haste. All right, Hero's Downfall.
Oh, the Hero's Downfall. He does have out the Hero's Downfalls now. We've only burned 2 of those.
Yeah.
Or no, we've only burned 1, but there are only 2 in the deck. All right.
So, I still like holding that Miscutter Hydra, though.
Yeah, I like holding the Miscutter Hydra as well.
Yeah. All right, there's a Hero's Downfall and Domery Rod.
That was the last Hero's Downfall in Chris's deck.
There's
he no longer has
Verdict. And I believe that Jared's going to have to get a bit lucky with the Garrick.
Fortunately, that's exactly what Garrick was built for.
Yeah, it really has been. Has been in the past. And is that a second Garrick?
That's another Garrick. The second Garrick is usually a little worse than the first.
All right. There is, oh wow,
an
Aetherling. All
this
right.
This deck is spicy.
Yeah. So
and
he does have 3 blue.
Yeah, he has 3 blue sources, which is the number he needs.
And he has a shrine to make more blue.
Yeah, he probably wants to go ahead and deploy that. We know through the benefit of seeing Chris's hand that he actually has a Thoughtseize. So if he doesn't play the Aetherling, he's not going to get the opportunity.
I think he's going to go Burning Tree.
Nykthos into Aetherling.
And is he ever going to play a second Garrick here, or is that just too greedy?
I think that the second Garrick is probably too greedy, but
okay.
I'm trying to. I think we maybe could have done that slightly more efficiently, but it's all the same, really.
Yeah.
We only have 1 blue mana. Nothing else really matters.
Sure. I mean, Kris has a grip full of cards. I don't think anything's going to really get him out of this. There's a Supreme Verdict. Doesn't really stop the Aetherling. I think he has another Sphinx's Revelation.
I think he has 2 more. But
yeah.
Each one of those basically trades with a little bit more than an Aetherling attack, and he still can't actually solve the card.
Sure. Another Voyaging Satyr. I would like to see a Garrick activation here.
Yeah.
All right, so top 5, miss, hit, hit.
That's a hit.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to draw him a lot. That could draw him 9 cards, right?
It could,
Does he
depending
have
on
enough
exactly
mana for it?
how big he wants to get in there.
So
he has the mana. Keep in mind he can just like cast the new Garrick and use its
oh wow,
tooth and nails.
Yeah, tooth and nail type ability.
Or show and tell, or dramatic entrance. That's the
okay.
one. But I don't even know if he wants to necessarily do that here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jared has to be worried. Maybe he'll just deck himself. You know, he's going through a lot of cards in his deck.
He does have an Aetherling in play. That's going to make it a lot trickier to wind up in that boat.
Sure, sure.
He attacks. Doesn't have to make it unblockable because Kris is not in a blocking mood with no creatures.
So I think he's trying to make it a 7/2.
That's what it looks like.
And essentially that's going to be like a 6/2 because of the Jace.
Yeah, he wants to go ahead and make sure that Kris is in range on the next turn.
Okay.
Just put him in the mode where he's forced to play a removal spell every turn until he dies.
So there's a Sphinx's Revelation for 7? For 8?
8.
This is interesting.
8 only puts Kris to 14. He's not out of 2-shot range on Aetherling.
Negate, Thoughtseize, the last Detention Sphere, another Jace, another Thoughtseize.
And an Azorius Charm. That's just a turn off of Aetherling, but he needs turns off of Aetherling.
Yeah, maybe Kris will deck himself. You never
maybe.
know, yeah.
That's not an uncommon way for these Esper mirrors to wind up going down. And this isn't an Esper mirror, obviously, but,
sure, but
it's
yeah.
an Aetherling mirror.
Yeah, you know, we get what you're saying here. So Kris will start off by playing a land of some sort. He has a lot of cards in his hand. What does he have, like 14 cards?
Yeah, he'll be entering the cleanup step this turn, I think.
Yeah. Okay, there's a Detention Sphere. He's probably going to go after Garrick, but
Yep.
Jared just has another one in hand.
Right. And Kris even knows that, doesn't he? Or does he not?
No,
I don't think he knows.
he doesn't know.
Yeah,
He
he doesn't
doesn't
know.
He knows that there's a Garrick on the bottom of Jared's
Right.
deck. Yeah.
2, in fact.
Yeah. Well, one got shuffled from that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The Primordial Shuffles.
So
That's actually a really good interaction.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. Okay, so he's going to Thoughtseize him. So now he's going to probably take the Garrick here. I'm pretty sure Kris just said, take the Garrick, obviously.
Yep. There
Yep.
goes the Garrick. Hits the bin.
Another Thoughtseize. Take the Prime Speaker. This time he didn't say obviously, but...
Now, he still has to beat an Aetherling, which...
I mean, how do you beat an Aetherling?
Yeah, if you've ever played Esper Control, once it's in play, it's notoriously difficult. You can do it. You basically just have to fog it every turn until you kill them with something else, usually your own Aetherling.
Yeah.
And that's where Kris does have an advantage because Jared's deck is not equipped to fog Aetherling. So if Kris can stick his own, and then they start attacking each other, Kris will actually be able to win that fight, and I don't even think it'll be that hard.
Sure. Okay, so there's Jace. He's going to immediately take it up to 5. Playing a Temple, and...
That's another Jace, I think. Sends it to the bottom. We also know that Kris put an Aetherling on the bottom of his deck, so he only has one that's, like, within drawing distance.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think maybe he should have kept that Aetherling. Instead, he just took a land. He took 2 lands.
He took 2 lands. He did need lands at the time.
But still.
I've seen that tight spot come up a number of times on the Open Series, and it's tough because the Esper deck just doesn't have a way to shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the Aetherling's so good. Like, the Aetherling would have done a lot of work here. It might have just actually killed Jared by now, to be honest.
It maybe could have. It's hard to say what the ramification of not having the lands would have been.
Yeah, sure.
Like, his Revelations would probably have been for a little bit less.
He probably couldn't have maybe.
He wouldn't have been able to play all these Thoughtseizes because he'd have to go to like 8 or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so Jared will get some mana here. There's a Bramble Crush. Looks like he's trying to get that Garrick back.
That's probably going to work out for him. I got a hunch.
Well, Kris does have a negate in hand.
Yeah, but if he negates, he dies.
He dies, right? Because he's Azorius Charm.
Yeah, or at least I
Wait,
think
is he just targeting the land?
No, actually, he would survive. Yeah, he can go to 1 here.
He goes. It'll be 7. Yeah, he would go to exactly 1.
And he did know all of Jared's hands, so he knows that he's safe from actual death.
Sure. So Jared's tapping some more mana here.
Well, I assume he has. No, I guess he doesn't.
He's just pumping the Aetherling, probably.
Yeah, he's just putting up a bit of Aetherling.
All right, so he's going to take out Jason and bring Kris to 8 life, I believe, from the Burning Tree Emissaries.
Which is, again, just 1 hit from an Aetherling. So we see Jared again just trying to make his Aetherling lethal as many times as he can.
Yep. Kris draws. There's a negate. Negate doesn't seem that great in this matchup. I mean, it does give more answers to Planeswalkers, but it's such a reactive answer,
I imagine he boarded it in after he played Game 2 when he got to see Jared's sideboard, which includes, these Bramble Crushes
and stuff.
In addition to the Planeswalkers,
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that Jared was on the play, and Negate is an answer to Domri Raid that you can kind of have available before the Domri starts to get out of control.
I mean, the Esper deck does have, the Attention Sphere does have Hero's Downfall as well, so.
Yeah. It's nice to not have to be stressed.
Yeah. What is it, about 22 cards he has left?
Yeah, Kris is counting his deck. I wonder if he knows exactly how many cards away the Aetherling is. Yeah. I think it's like 3 from the bottom.
I think it might be a little better than that, but
maybe
not by much.
Not by much, yeah. I don't think it's more than 5.
There's a Sphinx's Revelation. What is he doing it for? Is he doing it for 11?
I don't think he's going to do it for everything. He's got to hold open at least 2 mana to fog the Aetherling.
How much does he have? He's doing it for 7. What's the max he could have done it for? 10?
8. I think he's doing it for 8.
For 8?
Yeah.
So he could have done it for 10 if you wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a pack rat.
Yeah, he has 1 pack rat in his sideboard, and he brought it in.
Okay, so he can just play pack rat and unload a bunch of rats.
Yeah, he has enough cards in hand to certainly do that. He has a ton of lands in play.
Could that win him the game?
I don't think so. Mostly, I mean, it could lethal the opponent, but what's going to win in the game is fogging the Aetherling over and over. He just really needs to do that.
Yeah. I think Kris's spot is not that bad here. I think Jared came very close a couple of times to winning the game. I think maybe it came down to that Mistcutter Hydra play.
Yeah.
Like in hindsight.
He wouldn't have gotten a double striking Hydra that turn, to be fair.
I think Kris would have had to tap out for, the Hero's Downfall and everything that he took care of.
I think it would have spread the pressure. Like, Kris had already left mana open that turn. By holding the Hydra, you can kind of you can negate that mana, right? Because he wouldn't get to spend it. He would have to Verdict on the next turn anyway. And then you're kind of making him a little less mana efficient, and maybe that lets you create a choke point where you actually get to attack.
All right, so starting to separate his lands. Looks like he's trying to put him into maybe pack rat piles. I'm not too sure what he's doing. Maybe he's just adjusting it.
Yeah, he does have an Aetherling, so making sure he has blue and doesn't tap out of, doesn't leave a bunch of white mana open for no reason is kind of important.
All right, so there's 6. Probably, you're right here, probably going to be an Aetherling. There it is. Is there going to be another follow-up? Is it going to be pack rat?
It is
a pack rat. So then he's going to have 6 mana left. So enough to make one from the pack rat and have dissolve open.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and make a pack rat now because he was going to enter the cleanup step anyway.
Okay.
And I don't think he can afford to dissolve. Well, maybe he can afford to dissolve a spell here since he can't be lethal by the Aetherling.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something good, he's going to have to dissolve it. Ideally, you would want to leave open, mana for pack rat or mana for Aetherling.
Yeah.
But if he has to dissolve, he's going to dissolve. Yeah, this game is like surprisingly took really long because it was back and forth, and now I think it's the first time that I think Kris is in like really good control.
Yeah, it was a good fight, and Kris is getting to that point where he can just fog Jared's Aetherling while attacking through with his own for lethal.
Or just attack with the pack rats.
Yeah, the pack rats will get out of control in short order, too.
Are those pack rats going to be like 6/6s? Pretty soon, right?
Yeah, they can definitely get up there really fast.
3/3, and then 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, 7/7s next turn. And the Mistcutter Hydra is not going to get through to a pack rat.
No, it cannot. Unless Kris makes a mistake, which it doesn't seem like he's keen to at this point, he will not be able to get through with Mistcutter Hydra anymore. That might even be one of the reasons Kris brought in that Singleton pack rat.
Okay. What other fog cards does Kris have in his hand for the Aetherling?
I believe I saw an Azorius Charm.
Okay.
I don't know how many others he might have.
Sure. I know he has a Divination, which could like help him dig a bit deeper if he needs to.
And he can take one hit. He can go to 3.
Yeah, he could. So I think that's what's going to happen here, maybe? So I see a negate. I see a Supreme Verdict. Are you sure there's an Azorius Charm in there?
Maybe he burned the Azorius Charm last turn.
Well, he did use one Azorius Charm.
Yeah, I thought he might have had 2, but
okay.
I could be wrong there.
So
yeah, it looks like he just has counter spells and divination.
Yeah, like Jace. So he's going to discard that Thoughtseize to make another pack rat.
Yeah, he can't attack for lethal here.
Not this turn. Next turn, Kris could, though.
Yep.
He draws a Temple, plays the Temple immediately, puts it on the bottom. He's probably going to Divination here.
Yeah, he has to Divination, or, well, he can Jace and then Div.
Yeah.
Jace does dig 1 card deeper than Divination.
It does. It is 1 more mana expensive. Temple.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. So he'll probably find what he needs with the Divination because he doesn't have much of a library at all.
Well, that's the thing. He's also going to the cards we've already seen, right? Like he's getting pretty close to those.
Yeah. So there's 1. There's Dissolve.
And
there's a Dissolve.
Wow.
Is he just dead to the Aetherling?
It looks like he's just bricked off, and yeah, I think he is just dead.
Maybe he needed to like dissolve the Divination and dissolve just to scry a bit deeper.
Wow.
Was there anything left?
I don't even think there
Maybe
was. Like, let's think about it. We saw 2 Doomblades.
Yeah.
We saw all the heroes.
We saw 4 Detention Spheres, although Detention Sphere wouldn't do anything against Aetherling, but
and it looked like he boarded out his Devour Fleshes.
Okay.